This is CW Sports.
CW Sports live in Darlington, South Carolina, Darlington Raceway. NASCAR been coming here since 1950 for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, racing here since 1982. 71st event coming up later today. Sheldon Creed in the house, looking for his second win of the campaign. The reigning champ, Jesse Love, has not won in 2026, but boy, has he been outstanding to begin the season. And Christopher Bell is here. Could we get another Cup winner that gets to victory lane, a Cup driver that wins on a Saturday? Love going to have to race those Cup guys here today. It's practice and qualifying for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series on CW. Our race coverage begins later today, 4:30 Eastern Time, with NASCAR Countdown Live with Parker Kligerman, Jamie McMurray. I'm Adam Alexander. Cars are rolling out. 50 minutes of practice at the track. Too tough to tame, Jamie.
Yeah, it's one of the, I think, the best tracks that we go to on the entire circuit. Not the fanciest, not the nicest. A lot of tradition at this racetrack, though. So unique, such of a track with the surface, the width, where you run on the racetrack, lack of forgiveness.
It's perfect.
It is.
For all the reasons you mentioned, that it's not maybe the nicest facility and all that stuff, that's what makes it so great. It's so historic. It feels like it's just a place that stock cars should be racing. And you look at that asphalt, look how light it is, how abrasive it is, the awkwardness of these corners and how different they are. And you will do things in a race car here that you will not be required to do any other time in the year in terms of how you drive the race car, what you do with the throttle and the brake, and what you focus on as you run laps here. It's such a cool place.
We begin our practice coverage with the aforementioned Jesse Love. And as I said, even though he doesn't have a victory this season, they have come out of the gates strong.
This is one of the most fun laps you're going to run all day. First lap on the track in practice typically is when the track is going to have the most grip. You can not run wide open through turns 1 and 2, but it feels like right on the verge of that. They get down here to 3 and 4, a little more break. It's been fun watching the trucks last night and the last couple of years here where guys decide to run. Got a few options, even though the track is narrow, you do get a couple of options in 3 and 4.
Yeah, you do. You can even run lower than he did there, which is basically the apron, as we just killed a bug.
I think that's the whole lens.
That's right.
What just happened there? I mean, oh my.
Well, I think
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Right between the eyes.
Like a spider ended up on there.
It's a great example, though, of the surface and how abrasive it is and the little stones, because the drivers have those tear-offs on their windshields, and it just gets peppered here. And it gets to where you can't see, and then when the sun sets going into turn 3, it gets really hard, and that is a great example of what everyone's going through.
And this can be one of the shortest races of the year, but the front end of these cars will look like they've just gone through one of the worst storms possible. The whole front end is just torn apart, and all the vinyl wrapping we use is just all peppered up, and it's destroyed.
You know, the one thing about this track, and I think every driver would agree with me on this, if they could take this surface and just put it on every racetrack that NASCAR goes to, it's what everybody want to go.
We've got
well, we're batting 1,000.
Second one.
Yeah, it's perfect score so far.
Andy Jeffers handles our onboard cameras. Can we get him on line 1, please?
Andy be calling Roto-Rooters, sending them a bill right now.
Riding with Carson Kvapil, who for a 4th consecutive week is in a different race car. Now this is the second time he's been in the 1, but he's just been bouncing around 1, 91, 9, and now back in the 1. Look at this. Let's do a little side-by-side. A little dink and a little donk. How about that?
It's a great visual of what they're experiencing out there, why this place is so abrasive. It's covered in sand and rocks and all sorts of stuff like that, and shells maybe, whatever's out there basically. So it's what makes it so cool. But one thing I am noticing, Jamie, is a lot of people choosing to run that bottom down in 3 and 4. Even below it, no one's really ventured to the wall early, so this is a choice many are making, just kind of focus on making the bottom work. You got more, Dylan?
Well, just wanted to kind of tag on the back of what both you and Adam have been talking about. You know, Carson is back in the 1 this year, and I spoke to him just before he climbed aboard. He's excited. He said, this is home for me. These are my guys, and And all the other cars I've been in this year have been fast, but I'm excited to be back with Rodney and kind of be back with my boys here this weekend. So he was looking forward to getting some laps here. His early feedback, just as you talked about, Parker, he said he was a little snug, but he's trying to wrap the bottom and was starting to free up as a result. So doing some early learning here in the opening minutes of practice.
You know, Dylan references Rodney Childers. Best run of the year for Carson Kvapil was at Phoenix. We know how good Rodney, was at Phoenix and in the Cup situation with Harvick. Really good here at Darlington, too. And speaking of the Cup side of things, the Cup interlopers are back this week. Talked about it off the top. Christopher Bell driving the 19. This group was second last week with Chase Briscoe behind the wheel at Las Vegas.
Yeah, when you said speaking of things, I thought you were going to say speaking of really good at this racetrack.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's Christopher Bell, because he is exceptional here. The Gibbs cars have all been really good at this racetrack. It suits their setups well. We go back and look at his win from back in 24. A little blockage there of the 00.
You said 00 because you're afraid to say who was driving
sure.
it.
That's exactly right. Yeah, wasn't sure.
I'm with you, man.
You never know who's in which, but Bell has had really good short run speed. The long run speed has hurt him at this track. Last year, obviously, it played in his favor with getting a caution towards the end of it. Even last night in the truck race, it seemed like he had really good short run speed, but balanced way too loose at the end. He's one of the guys, Parker, you see moving up the racetrack, actually on both ends right there, going to that more kind of traditional line.
In 1 and 2, using the line that Denny Hamlin sort of discovered, that Kyle Larson made famous in the last few years, as he enters right up next to the wall there in 3 and 4. That you'll do that partial throttle through the center. It's almost like there's almost multiple corners in the turns 3 and 4. I know that's 2 corners, but you'll do 3 or 4 different things when you run the wall in 3 and 4 that just is so unique to this place. But there's a traditional line that Brandon Jones did that I was referencing. Christopher Bell was actually entering higher into 1, and it's a choice, because when you do that, you literally drive the car directly at the wall and just trust that it's going to get there and turn.
Yeah, the commitment to not use the apron is much harder. And there's some speed in that. Not a lot of guys can do it. I love hearing you say Denny, because I remember Jeff Burton was like the original guy that I would see do that.
Maybe it's a generational difference.
Yeah, well, it could be. Denny's obviously good at it. Larson's good at it. Guys that have been good at this racetrack can run that little bit higher line. This guy right here we're watching, Brandon Jones, good at this racetrack no matter what line he chooses to run. Won here twice before.
Yeah, you saw his crew chief there, Sam McCauley. They won this race a year ago. And for McCauley, that was his first ever win as a crew chief in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. You know, when he won this race last year, he just kind of quietly hung around the top 5, took advantage in the final stage, got the lead, never gave it up. And I love the celebration. Into that long winless streak. And that video right there shows you who all feels the impact when you haven't been to victory lane in a while. And I look at the board, Joe Gibbs Racing has won here 14 times. They've not won this season, but they got 3 of the top 6 in practice with Sawalich back there in the 6th spot. Bell and Jones won 2. 9 of the last 10 races here won by either Joe Gibbs Racing or Junior Motorsports. And you can't say enough about Justin Allgaier. I feel like every track you go to, he's one of the guys you talk about. But if you really zoom in and look at the numbers, Darlington, one of those that you really have to highlight.
We're looking back at a moment, run the bottom, and off of 4. That's a little tight. That will happen.
Well,
it's just practice.
We had 2 of the 3 wrecking in one corner at the same time right there. And that's just his racetrack getting loose. Justin trying to run on the bottom. You see working underneath, running really low right there. We see that line work last night exceptionally well. He's got Kyle Larson back in the 88 behind him. Kyle, I think, waited just a few laps to go out, didn't go right out like we saw some of the other guys do.
And you see a visual example of what Larson was doing there, entered higher into 1 that we were talking about earlier. You said Jeff Burton did. I think it's Denny Hamlin who really started that, but Larson has made it very famous in being able to run that line, and he's doing it early on. I mean, he's only 8 laps into his run here in practice and already doing it. And then this line down here that he's running, which is basically the apron. I love this line. I think it's one of the best lines you can do, because if it works, you can just have such lower distance. As we look at the 7, oh, is he going to get the wall?
I don't think he did.
I don't think so. No, it's just how close you have to be. That is it.
But I can assure you, inside the car, the exhaust got really quiet. You got that close because you're right up against it.
I heard it so many times in the garage. Keep the right side on it.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought you were saying because he lifted at that point.
No, I just mean, you know, when you get right up next to it, it'll actually get a little bit quiet inside the car, and you know that that's the threshold of don't get any closer.
Junior Motorsports has won 3 consecutive races with 3 different drivers. The 9 car went to victory lane at Circuit of the Americas with Shane Van Gisbergen. And this weekend behind the wheel of the 9, Ross Chastain, really good in that car here a year ago. And was good last night and had his heart broken by Corey Heim in the Craftsman Truck Series event. Final lap, here comes the 5, a little tire strategy, and he's able to drive around Chastain and get the win.
Chastain had no clue that he was on better tires at the end, or he said he would have defended. It's so much fun to watch guys here have, like, it wasn't even brand new tires. I think they had 5 laps on them, but they were so much better than what Ross had. You almost make those passes look effortless.
You said Corey Heim hurt his feelings. That's a pretty consistent theme for all Truck Series racers in the last 2 years.
Right there,
Well,
9 got me a little bit tight.
You know, yesterday was the first official day of spring. It was also Heim time at Darlington.
Nice, yeah.
Hey, you heard some radio there, the 7, and a little bit of a kiss.
Yeah, got into the wall here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Hello.
But he said he got just a little bit tight, I think is what I heard on that. I would tell you that nobody really is ever tight at Darlington. It just doesn't turn, but the back is always sliding around. That was a pretty good shot. Yeah, it's a pretty good hit for him to continue to stay out there after that.
Well, these composite bodies, it will shock you how much abuse they can take, and you really get a visual example of it here at Darlington where you will bounce off that wall. But I can tell you there's times in these races the last couple of years where you'll watch a car hit that wall 2 or 3 laps in a row, and it just never slows them down. It never, you know, hurts. The body pops right back out. Your big fear, though, is if you do it too many times, it eventually can cut down that tire, that right rear tire, which we see often. But the body itself can take a lot of abuse.
And typically, if you can hit with the right rear, it's a much better impact.
You're going to say softer?
Yeah, well, I was trying to think how to say that correctly, yeah. You
Maybe
get with the
more
right front, though, and you get
flush impact.
You get the steering out of whack, it gets you in trouble.
I will say this, though. You be careful with this practice session because you can tear one up, and it's a really quick turnaround to the race later on. We heard from Dylan earlier. Now we check in with Kim Kuhn on the 88 of Kyle Larson. Hello, Kim.
Hello. As we look at Kyle Larson, not quite on the speed charts where we would expect at Darlington. He's been quiet on the radio. The only thing he has said is to start this run, he was on the splitter specifically into turn 1, but crew chief Marty Lindley had a lengthy conversation with me yesterday about how, yes, they want to get the car as close as possible, and he said with Larson, compared to other drivers who want a perfect car, Larson can make things work even if he's 3 numbers in any direction. So this team definitely will have to put a little bit more into this car, but Larson right now quiet on the radio.
It's interesting to hear Kyle say that's 2 weeks in a row that he's complained about being on the splitter. He talked about it all last week, practice, even in the race. They finally got him out front, and he's able to run the speed. The thing about Darlington, there's so much fall off here. Like Bell's already fallen off 3 seconds. The fastest car on the track has fallen off, so it was 3 seconds over 20 laps. So the crew chiefs will probably let that ride on the splitter a little bit, because if you can give up a little sacrifice, a little bit of front end speed to be good at the end, it pays huge dividends here.
It was all the JRM cars that were complaining about the splitter last week being on there, but as Kim alluded to, last week Larson said he was an average mid-pack driver, maybe running around 8th all day.
We described him as a mid-pack driver a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
I said you have never.
He tries to stay undefeated in that 88 car here today. How about this moment? Jesse Love, just hang on, bud.
It's a kiss.
It's only practice. It's early in the day. Christopher Bell, top of the charts. Practice underway. O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, Darlington, South Carolina. Corey Day in the 17. Great start to his first full year competing in the series. Sam Mayer, I'm just hoping that they can have a smooth day. I kind of preached it last week, thought it was finally happening. He wins the pole, has a successful first stage, and then the mechanical issues, they go behind the wall and get 5 or 6 laps down and could never recover. And so far, so good out of the gates for he and his teammate. He's up there in the 5th position.
What's so interesting about Sam is he's so upbeat. You know, he's such an upbeat person, doesn't try to let things get him down, but even he, with all the times that they've been in position, having great runs, and just something goes wrong, it seems like, for whatever reason, they just can't all play out in his favor. But I think this 41 team, from what we've seen early in this year, they're kind of waiting in the wings that if things start to break through, they might go on a bit of a run here. Just knowing Sam, how good he is at a variety of tracks, and how much speed they've had at a variety of tracks, just not quite getting the finishes that they probably, I hate to say deserved, but
well,
you know,
they're running better than they're
issues.
finishing,
Yeah.
with no doubt. This guy right here is getting great finishes, and I've been watching him the last couple of laps as he's right in front of Sam Mayer, Corey Day, running right against the wall. And Parker, he's doing the line that we've kind of focused on. You mentioned with Hamlin, and Kyle Larson watches. He drives into turn 1. He's just committed to doing this. You know that he's probably watched a lot of video from Kyle, probably talked to him a whole lot. And Mayer obviously cannot get by Corey. He's also exiting really high right there. You'll see guys even exit a little bit higher, but man, never being here before, only getting 50 minutes of practice. I'm so thankful they gave the teams a second set of tires for a young guy like Corey Day who's never been here. That chance of getting to go back out and have the fall off and get to have new tires is huge. You have more on Corey, Kim?
Yeah, Jamie, you mentioned Corey up against the wall, and that's exactly what crew chief Adam Wall wanted to see from his drivers. You know, so often we come to Darlington, and crew chiefs, especially with drivers that don't have a lot of experience, kind of want the drivers to throttle back and maybe give it 75 to 85%, but that is not what Adam wanted. In fact, he said last year in truck practice, because Corey ran the truck race last year, Brian Patty, his crew chief then, just wanted him to go about 75%, not tear anything up in practice. Adam had the opposite approach. He said, I want to see him as close to 100% as possible using the wall. He said he'd rather have him get a feel for the car on the wall and use up the right side in practice than be surprised by it during the race. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now from Corey Day.
Well, he's getting close.
That was a little slide there.
I don't think he's got there yet, but he's getting close.
Well, and to that point of what they were referencing there, you know, there is a thought process occasionally when you go to a place like this, or maybe Homestead, Miami, where you run the wall, you might want to do it 80% in practice, right? And some teams, especially if you have experience, are going to say, hey, don't go hit that wall. We don't need to figure that out. We know we can get there. But, you know, if you're younger and you're learning, and if you got that opportunity, take advantage of it, because in the race, you won't get that mulligan if you cut a tire down.
You guys were talking earlier about the history of Darlington, and you do feel like you go back in time when you come here, and so many times drivers will run the throwback schemes. This is not an official throwback weekend, but Brennan Poole, one of those that's brought a throwback and throwing it back to Greg Biffle, series champion, who we lost in the offseason. Won back-to-back Southern 500s here, and Brennan replicating that car. You know, I was looking at the numbers. Biffle won here in 05 and 06 in the Southern 500. And in both races, Jeff Gordon was second. And I'm just thinking about this place and how good Gordon was here. And to win 2 races here and both times to beat him is just a major statement. Love the throwback scheme for Poole. And this is an organization, Alpha Prime, that has made nice strides in 2026. And Poole is up there in the top 15 in points, so they're off to a really good start. They've been very consistent, and you're not seeing double here. I mean, the paint schemes are similar. Dean Thompson running a throwback to Biffle as well. That 26 car throwback to the 2011 Greg Biffle paint scheme.
So many memories, I feel like, for all of us as you look at those schemes. I think we all can think back to races that Greg ran, and one of those, obviously the one on the right, is that 3M car that he ran for years, the National Guard car. I just think back to that being, I mean, honestly, kind of the prime time for Roush racing.
Yeah, and these are iconic schemes. If you were watching NASCAR in this era, you can't help but associate to Greg Biffle, and even the National Guard one to me, a little bit of Benny Parsons and telling the story of how Greg was discovered out in the Northwest. And so, you know, it's just an amazing story and all that he was able to accomplish, and with a later start than typically you would see, you know, getting the cup level start.
Yeah.
And, you know, how much he was able to accomplish, just unbelievable. What an incredible driver and a great human being.
Great to see the recognition this weekend at Darlington from the teams, the paint schemes. We'll see more tomorrow. And you saw the 16 logo there on the track. 39 is Ryan Sieg. And this is a team that needs to get it going You know, just not the start that they would have wanted in 2026. Good at Daytona. After some early problems, they came back. But two really good racetracks for them are Atlanta and Las Vegas, and they didn't take advantage of either one of those places. So maybe they get something going here. Austin Hill, 12th or better in every race this season, but I know they too were a little bit disappointed, scratching their head with the performance last weekend at Las Vegas. 9th right now in practice, Kim.
Yeah, doesn't quite have the car he wanted. Take a listen to the in-car communication from Austin Hill on what the car was doing.
I'm just sliding the front tires, then I throttle up across the middle of 1 and 2 and kind of slide the fronts. I have to make sure I lift before getting to that newer asphalt, and then as long as I'm pointing down the hill, I can finish off the 2 decent. I still get tight off the 2 though at times, and then entry to 3 all the way to like 3/4 mark of the corner. I'm just waiting on the front end.
I'll go ahead and translate that for you. It does nothing good is what he's saying right there. And that's what happens. I mean, he's almost 4 seconds off the pace of what he was able to run on new tires. You feel like in the car that you're just crawling. You feel like you're in a petty driving school car just cruising laps, and it's just like you're on ice. I mean, it doesn't do anything. It won't turn. You can't give it any throttle. You see him moving around on the racetrack. You're really logging laps here, just hoping you can maybe find a little something, maybe be smoother with the throttle, change your braking. But for the most part, you're at the mercy of your car right here.
It's like the best description I've heard at times is when you get this late in a run here at Darlington, it's like you have 4 flat tires. That's how bad. Like, if you can imagine what a flat tire feels like, just take all 4 and make them flat. That's what it drives like at times, where you're just like, this thing isn't a race car anymore. It's not reacting to anything I'm asking it to do. It's just sliding. It's just doing uncontrollable things at times, and you're going super slow at the same time.
You swear something's broke.
Yeah.
Is what you're like something. But what makes this part check so hard is that when you come in for a pit stop and you leave the pits, it does everything perfect, and it's hard to have the discipline and the commitment to barrel it off in the corner, knowing how bad it was 2 laps ago on the old tires.
Talked earlier about Sam Mayer, teammate Sheldon Creed, 22nd in practice. He's been close, had some opportunities at Darlington. Did win a truck race here. Had one getaway, 2024. Was a runner-up here in 2022. Track position is a big deal. Lane selection on the restarts, being in control, is going to be something that we talk about. Late caution took it away from him a couple of years ago. Still don't like where this team is. You saw the numbers and what they've done the last few weeks. The 3 top 5s, if you just look at where he is, best start through 5 races in his career. These cars have had a lot of speed. The chemistry is there, and just feel like some huge opportunities ahead for this group.
Looking back at that loss there, that was heartbreaking.
Yes.
In the string of heartbreaking Sheldon Creed losses that were out there, obviously finally got that first win this year, and I think he's always been really good here, no matter if it's trucks or O'Reilly. Just has a real knack for this place, and I think often tracks that have a high amount of fall off, I think to Homestead Miami or running the wall, Sheldon's really good at that. Austin Hill will tell you, like, when they were teammates, Austin would see him do things on the wall and say, I can't do that. And that's just, Sheldon has a real feel for running the wall, and places allow you to do that. So today could definitely be a good day for him. I'm curious to know if he's running around that 54, if he'll be a little apprehensive.
I'd like to know what those conversations were like during the week, if there was any communication.
You bring up Austin Hill, so let's go to Austin Green, and he's one of the 5 drivers doing a throwback on this Saturday race for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and throwing it back sentimental right to his dad, David, who won the championship 1994, and his only win that year was at Bristol.
I'm like, why are we showing Mark?
This is that classic race where Mark Martin thinks the race is over, pulled off, and it opens the door for O Slim Jim to get the win. David Green, And I looked at that car in the garage yesterday for Austin, and even though it doesn't say Slim Jim, when you look at that paint scheme, that's what you see, right? I mean, this is a really good throwback.
Well, and I hope that David and Austin know that Parker, just to pay tribute to them, made a 1-pound Slim Jim right before we came on air here, so that was nice.
Hey, and to be fair to Mark Martin,
It's full protein. Thank you very much, James Murray.
I know
healthy.
that we show that clip of Mark Martin, but you know he owned this place.
I'm going to interview Mark on Sunday for the pre-race show for the Cup. I think I'll ask him about that. I'll say, hey, Adam had a question that he wanted me to ask you.
Don't put my name on
kept
that.
him up for a while whenever he saw the white flag.
We'll save that for Bristol, okay, because that's where that was. All right, fantastic finishes. You want them, you get them more often than not at Darlington. I'm sure another good one coming your way later today. Practice rolling. 20 minutes to go for O'Reilly Auto Parts Series teams. It's practice at Darlington. This is going to be the best part of the show right here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
they don't even know what's coming up.
Mind-blowing right here from Parker Kligerman.
Parker couldn't shove that meat snack in quick enough so he could get to this telestrator.
I can't wait to show that. So we're talking about this high entry point and high line into one. You see Corey Day does it right there. So stop there. So right here, you look where the 41 is pointed. He's basically pointed up here. He's entered the traditional lower line, but what does the high line do for you? Look at the 17. His car is pointed this way. It gets the car pointed earlier through this middle, the 1 and 2 section. It allows the 17 to get to more throttle. It treats the right rear better. And for the 41, he's going to have to get the car to turn at that point. Later in the corner, he's going to lean on the right rear more. That's the difference. That is why that high entry into one works on the outside versus that lower traditional line, and it just over the course of a run compounds in you saving that right rear, treating the car a little nicer. And for whatever reason, it's become very popular, but it's very, very hard to do because you head directly at the wall into one when you do it, and it can really make you think like you're going to run right into it.
It's not hard to do. It's hard to do fast.
Well, anything in a race car.
No, I mean, like, I think that, I mean, I've tested there so many times and tried to make that work, and it's so hard to commit to the speed that you need on entry and trust that the car's not going to hit the wall. And that's why you see so many other guys kind of use the apron, because it's just an easier line to run, and you feel more secure, safer that you're not going to get into the wall.
You guys have brought up a couple of times today Jeff Burton. Here's Harrison. But the one reason you reference Jeff here is because how successful he was. 4 wins in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, including 3 in a row. Swept the Cup races here in 1999, won the Southern 500 in the fall of that year. And Harrison hoping to kind of continue the family tradition. They need something to go positive. You look at what he did last week, saw the numbers there from Las Vegas. That 17th his best run of the year, and he wants so much more out of this 24 ride in 2026. Just haven't had many good breaks.
Well, and I think back to last year in this race when he was at AM Racing and they did a little alternate tire strategy there at the end of the stages to try and get points. He's definitely got the speed here and understands this place, but that's when I look at him, that's the opportunity potentially for this 24 right now, and trying to, at a race like this, maybe it's foregoing that ultimate finish to try and just get points with the hole that they found themselves in earlier this, from earlier this season. I think that could be something that they might have to take advantage of, and he already has experience doing it.
Yeah, I flew home with Harrison the last couple of weeks from the West Coast races, and he's frustrated. I mean, the expectation of this team, him going over there, was extremely high this year. And I don't know that the speed has been as far off as what the results have. And it's similar to maybe a Sam Mayer, where you're like, well, they've run better than where they finished. But, man, you just look at those first 2 tracks being a drafting style, Atlanta and Daytona, and then a road course. And the way the season started off, you could really dig a hole. And unfortunately, they have done that, and hopefully they can get that turned around. Starting with last weekend, I know 17th's not great, but it's a big improvement from where they started the year.
Hey, you'll take anything.
Yeah,
at
that point, for sure.
Well, with Salmon Racing, I mean, it's disappointment, right? You want something better. That's a two-car organization that needs to get it going in the right direction. And you flip to the other side of it, another 2-car team that has been very positive in 2026 is Viking Motorsports. And this is the first year that they've run 2 cars full team, a very, very young group over there. But Anthony Alfredo, outstanding a couple of weeks ago at Phoenix. I know last week at Vegas didn't go their way, but he comes in very solidly, top 20 in points, quite capable of making the chase. And then you think about the team car, and that being Parker Retzlaff and what he's done, had that second place finish earlier this year. They've got a playoff spot right now, a chase position inside the top 10 in the chase standings, and both top 10 in practice. So they have done some really positive things out of the gates through 5 races.
Viking Motorsports has been the best surprise of 2026 for me. The fact that they expanded, they're doing the 2 cars now, and it's not just one car having success, they're both being able to share that. And to me, as the longer they're together, the better that is going to get. And I think it's been a great surprise.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with Josh Graham 2 weeks ago just about where they were at and the situation there. And he said, look, we have had to do a lot in the off season, and we've taken on a lot going to 2 cars. The RCR Alliance, they're still running chassis that maybe are a couple years older at times, and they're just having to make those choices. But he said we can all see the light at the end of the tunnel, and this is what it takes. You can't just waltz in here to the O'Reilly Series and expect, hey, I'm going to do an alliance and everything's going to be better and we're going to go win races. There's these teams like a Joe Gibbs Racing that's on the screen has been doing this for decades and has that infrastructure and processes and systems built out that allow them over the course of a 33 race season to just, do this at a high level, where a team like Viking Motorsports is going to have those dry spells because they just don't have that infrastructure yet. But he said they're working towards it and they can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
A lot of depth. Series is very, very challenging right now to go out and compete, be consistent on a week-to-week basis. You referenced the 18, William Sawalich, top 10 in practice, coming off his second top 10 of the year last week at Vegas.
Kind of up and down for the 18 over the course of the year, and last night was got himself behind, got spun early on, had to use up that second set of tires, so kind of had to come from behind most of the night.
What's going on with the 88 now, Kim?
Yeah, I want to revisit Kyle Larson because during the first report, he was pretty minimal in his description of that race car. Remember, said he was on the splitter into 1. After that first run, came in, gave a very illustrious description of what the car was doing that first run. Marty Lindley making changes to free it up. But Kyle said he felt like the front end was dead, especially into 1. Couldn't enter high. He felt like he was going to knock the fence down. The majority of the run just tight, turning down the hill. He said if he carried too much speed off of 2, 3, and 4, it just felt really slick. Felt like the nose was slapping the track into 3. So they came down again, made changes, tried to free him up, and now he's back on the racetrack, hoping to make what will be a 20-lap run for this second time out.
Couple of things to pay off here. One, Alex Bowman was originally scheduled to drive the 88 this weekend for Junior Motorsports. We know that he's dealing with those medical issues, so we're thinking about you, Alex, and we hope to see you back soon. And, when we were talking a couple of weeks ago about who maybe would fill in, if Alex was unable to go today and Kyle's name came up, Marty Lindley was like, it doesn't matter to me who's driving. I just want to win at Darlington because he's from Greenville, South Carolina. His dad, Butch, who drove in this series for many years, has multiple wins, is in the Hall of Fame here. This race is very special for everybody because you want to win at the track too tough to tame, but some added sentimental value for Marty Lindley, the crew chief.
Yeah, and as Kim was talking there, they put their second set of tires on. We've seen a lot of guys go out and on the second set of tires, and the one thing that's very deceiving about this racetrack is it will never be as fast as it is when practice starts. No matter how many times you put tires on, the track gets hot, it gets rubbered up, and it loses pace. Kyle's run his best lap since pulling back out, so I think they've made improvements to the car based on the speed, but the one that sticks out to me is his teammate, or kind of teammate, Corey Day, has run a pretty decent lap pulling out, maybe doing a full mock run there.
I think it's a South Carolina thing. Cody McKenzie was my engineer at Big Machine Racing. He's now the crew chief for Blaine Perkins. He told me the only race that he cared about all year was Darlington. He was from South Carolina. This meant so much to him to try and win at Darlington. We had a close one and it got away. You've never seen Cody so angry.
There's the top 5. 12 minutes to go in practice. We're live in Darlington on CW. 10 minutes to go in practice. We highlight the 54 of Taylor Gray. You look at Joe Gibbs Racing and the start that they're off to. Got their first top 5 finish of the year last week at Las Vegas with Chase Briscoe in second. They've had 6 top 10s as a group, 6 DNFs. And in the middle of some of those problems have been Taylor Gray. but he follows kind of that same thought process that we've had about some other drivers. Where are you running when you have your problem? Case in point, Las Vegas last week, getting all those stage points right there inside the top 5 when he got turned and put in the wall. This is someone that's so capable. And when you have Jason Ratcliffe calling the shots at Darlington, you know you're going to be in the game.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great track for Taylor, though, in general. I have to think that he has next week circled on his calendar because he won the last time we were at Martinsville.
And probably should have swept there.
Absolutely. And it was good in the trucks there as well. So he's got a knack for that track. This place is unique, though, and it hasn't been very kind to Taylor. He had a great run going last week, had that contact with Sheldon Creed that put him out of the race. You got to wonder if this week, or next week, if that gets reciprocated. See right here, this is a race for the lead. 17, Corey Day's leading. Creed felt like the 54 had blocked him, but then when we heard the post-race interview, Sheldon's like, well, I didn't realize that Day was right in front of him. Probably too aggressive too early. Taylor was definitely frustrated with how that went, but yeah, Joe Gibbs Racing, though, this has been a tremendous track for him, and you know, every time you come to a track as a driver, you hope that it's your weekend, that you have figured it out. He's got pretty decent speed, fire-off speed here. He's 11th overall, went out pretty early, run 47 laps. So just searching around right now on that second set of tires, trying to find where the grip is and where that balance is going to go. The track just continues to get hotter and hotter here, the same way it will be when they start the race later tonight.
Let's flip the numbers. Go from the 54 to the 45.
Wow.
And they're right there together on track. LeVar Scott running for Rookie of the Year. And the Sunoco paint scheme out of the Alpha Prime stable. It's going to be 10 races this year where they're carrying those colors.
Awesome.
And
colors.
it's an awesome paint scheme for a driver that just brings so much personality. And you know, you talk about Alpha Prime and where they are, and we mentioned Brennan Poole earlier and his situation in the points, and he's just been wonderful so far on the year. LeVar Scott has not gotten the payoff, but he has, you feel like, been laying the groundwork for something much bigger picture as we go throughout the year.
Yeah, that paint scheme's as bright as his personality. Last week, I think back to, also I'm still impressed when you went 54 to 45, flipped it around. I mean, my mind was blown. But anyway, I think back to last week where there was that early wreck that he got into the back of Chandler Smith in the 5 car, and
no chance.
There's no chance.
Yeah,
he didn't give himself a chance on the day. And it's like those are the types of things that rookies have happened to them that you got to work through in some respects, because it's just going to happen. Eyes aren't far enough up ahead, not knowing what to look for, all those little things. But, you know, his spotter is his team owner, Tommy Joe Martins. So
yes.
I will say
we're going to blame then, right?
It's Tommy's fault.
He takes responsibility before the accident happens.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we were talking about the musical chairs game for Carson Kvapil. He's the winner right now. He's been in 3 different cars this year. Second place would be Raja Caruth, driving the 88 for the most part in junior motorsports, but also jumping over in this 32 for Jordan Anderson Racing and doing a nice job. And I talked to Dale Jr., his car owner, when he's driving the 88, and Dale had some really good advice for him about how to balance the 2 rides. And you do have to have a different mentality and approach, but this young driver's handling it very well.
Yeah, and a little insight to our pre-race show. We're actually going to get to have an interview with Raja. We're going to ask him about that, having to drive multiple cars. What's that like? I mean, who do you lean on when you come to Darlington for help? It's not been a great track for him as well. Not a lot of experience at this place and a limited amount of practice today, but and you mentioned LeVar having great personality. His interviews are always exceptional as well. Like his outlook on the race, always very positive. The journal, I think, is a great story. I'm a big note taker. I think that's super important. And he is as good at it as anybody, and he's a student. He's learning and quick learner.
And a cool paint scheme there, Black Effect. It's actually, if you follow Raja on social media, he's on all these different podcasts through the week often, and that's a podcast network that he's part of, you know, has been on a lot of their shows, so really cool to see that partnership come into effect. And he
Parker knowing podcast. I had no idea.
Weird.
Wow.
This is his way to try to play his way in to get the spot on the
money line.
By the way, have you checked out the money lap lately?
That's right.
You know, we haven't talked about Sammy Smith. And here's a driver that, and Kim referenced this, you know, just off to a great start. 6th or better in 4 of the 5 races. And when you think about the fact that, you know, when he is someone that has a tire problem in Atlanta, and that's the dividing line between him and top 10s in every race. You look at where he is in the standings, and doing it with a new crew chief in Corey Shea, who, oh, by the way, was very, very good here last year as crew chief in the 9-car when Ross Chastain almost won this race. So this has been a great combination. And you look at 15-lap average in a bumper right now, Smith 4th in that category.
He reminds me of Chase Elliott in the Cup Series right now, because he's getting these great finishes, and it's just quietly happening. Like, I don't feel like we talk about him enough. He doesn't, there's like not something spectacular happening, but every week he's there. And you mentioned it, should have had every race a solid finish this year. And I think maybe gets overshadowed from Justin, some of the other teammates over there, a little bit flashier, but ooh,
hey, that was flashy.
Yeah. But just doing an exceptional job, and every year gets better.
And I'm glad you said it that way, because I was thinking the exact same thing. And I think when we look at what Sammy's stringing together here early on, what he told me about him and Corey Shea just gelling immediately and understanding each other, and his experience now, his 4th year in the series, to me, he's that quiet championship threat. Like, we're talking Sammy Smith potentially being an O'Reilly Series champion this year if they keep this up, because they are really, at the top of their game right now, and I still think they're not close to their ceiling in a lot of respects.
Look at our bumper and look at the teams that are up there. You got Joe Gibbs Racing, right? No surprise. A lot of junior motorsports there. RCR. I say a lot of junior motorsports, actually not a ton. But Carson Quapple up there in the top 5. Sam Mayer. We got the guys from Viking, and then Jeremy Clements in 8th. And this is, his home track as well, from Spartanburg, South Carolina, veteran driver. Career start 5:36 today, will be officially number 2 on the all-time list.
Well, Parker gave us that emotional testimony earlier about what it means for a South Carolina native to be able to win at this racetrack. So
I've got testimony or testimonial?
I've got to put Jeremy in that same class.
That tells me is at least you're listening. That's what it says.
For the drivers and the teams, it's the track too tough to tame. I just have to manage the two of you for about 4 or 5 hours today. I can't believe that we've made it through almost 50 minutes of practice and we haven't heard that McMurray won here.
Oh, there it is. I was waiting for it. I was just hoping we could avoid it.
I will say this, though. You won here in 04 in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, but you dig through it. You were second here in the Southern 500 in 2010, and it always blows me away that when you were second here, here's the win.
Oh, yeah. 66 right here. Look at that.
I'm going to tell you what.
That's when you were on that reality show.
If they show me getting out of the car, you're going to see some spectacular highlights.
Take the hat off.
It would be amazing. That was awesome. My car owner was Rusty Wallace. And that's like, was it 2004? Is that what
2004, yeah.
And I was like, I'm in my 2nd year of Cup. I had grown up a fan of Rusty, and all of a sudden he called me and was like, he's like, hey man, I want you to drive my hot rod.
Just like that. Really good Rusty impersonation,
This is so cool that Rusty has called and wants me to do it. And to be able to go to Victory Lane, he actually gave me a Rolex after that race. And on the back of it, 2004 Darlington winner. It's an awesome, super cool memory for me.
That's awesome.
So you got a Rolex for winning the 24 hours, and then you got a Rolex from Rusty Wallace for winning an O'Reilly Auto Parts race at Darlington.
Just so we're clear, I only have 2 Rolexes.
But hey, I want to go back to the 2010 thing, because you were second here after winning the pole in the Southern 500 in 2010. And what's amazing about that to me, Denny Hamlin won the race. What's amazing to me about that is that was the year that you won the Daytona 500, you won the Brickyard 400, you won the fall race at Charlotte. If you had completed that, I mean, that was unbelievable.
I had finished second in the Coke
600, right.
Like it was almost this just, well, it was magical anyway, but it was almost just perfect year. Here, I would tell you that probably should have won the Coke 600 that year. A caution destroyed us in that race, because just the way the strategy worked out. Here, though, I had about a 5th or 6th place car, but you mentioned I was on the pole. I had that #1 pit stall. Our pit crew won the championship that year. We just kept getting out of the pits first, and then Denny would rip the decals off when he would go by, and I would just kind of get in line, and the cautions felt perfect for me. So it was pretty fun.
All I remember about that Rusty Wallace 2004 Busch car was the reality show, and where you guys were talking in the bus lot one time, and he talked about how he ironed his jeans.
Oh, he starched them. Yeah, he starched his jeans and ironed his shirts.
Okay, that's
Dude,
what it was.
Rusty
That's all I
would
can
walk
remember.
and it sounded like plastic. It was like so stiff.
I think we got carried away with story time. Hey, practice is done, by the way. And it's Bell who leads the session. By the way, quickest in practice and has won the last 2 poles here in races for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. We got qualifying coming up on the CW. Thank you for spending part of your Saturday with us. Practice all done for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series in Darlington, South Carolina. Here's the top 10. 3 cars from Joe Gibbs Racing inside the top 6. Look, Junior Motorsports with Carson Quapple, Sam Mayer repping for the Haas factory team. Jesse Love, the reigning champ in the top 10. Give some love to Viking Motorsports. Retzloff and Alfredo were strong. Austin Hill also up there inside the top 10, and Jeremy Clements was 8th. Let's hear from Taylor Gray down to Dylan Welch.
Yeah, I was listening to the radio kind of throughout that entire practice session. You, like a lot of guys, just trying to kind of get a handle on this place. What were you working on trying to find from a balance out of your race car?
Yeah, I feel like we just fired off too free, and then honestly, I feel like deeper in the run, we seem to be somewhat competitive. Just need to do some work on the front half of our runs and get our car a little better. But I know everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing is going to keep working hard here, and hopefully we find something.
As much as the car changes over the course of a run here, how difficult is it to even know where to start with the balance when you start one of these runs?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, this is probably, I definitely the hardest racetrack we probably come to all year, and especially trying to find that, that good balance from the start of the run to the end of the run, right? So, just all about searching here.
All right, thanks, Taylor. Kim?
Well, Dylan, I've been talking with Parker Retzloff, and I pointed out he's got top 5 speed in single lap, 5 lap, and consecutive 10 lap. You said that's all a guy could ask for. So did you have any complaints about the race car?
Yeah, I think as a driver, you always know there's stuff you can work on, but I think overall the 99 Viking Camaro is really good. I think there's still stuff we can work on. I know the team knows some changes and stuff that we can do. We tried to mock up there and do a mock run, and it just wasn't good. We missed it a little bit. So glad we did that. I think we'll make it better for qualifying, and then just try and make the car a little bit better for the race, and hopefully we can run in that top 5 all day.
What is going to be the key here during your qualifying lap?
Yeah, the qualifying lap here is just, there's so much commitment to it, and it's just to hit it correctly. I feel like I'm always the guy who commits really hard, but it can also, make your lap really bad. So just being on the edge of this place is so big, and I'm going to go for it here in qualifying and hopefully get us a good starting spot and, have a good day.
All right, I like it. He's going to go for it, guys.
I'm curious about that hat, the upside-down outcast. I think of him as an underdog guy, right? And he's growing and getting better and better. But that hat makes me very curious.
Isn't it a trend to have upside-down hats?
For sure it is. It's a thing.
Well, that's why we're asking Parker.
I'm not cool enough
Even
to do
that
it.
one's beyond me, to be honest.
Team's working hard to get these cars ready to go for qualifying. It's on the way. Practice is done for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series at Darlington. Working our way toward qualifying. Let's do something really cool here at the track Too Tough to Tame.
Hey, look at this. We got throwback to Cale Yarborough, Jesse Love on the right. Jamie, do you know which one's which?
I was trying to distinguish which was the modern and which was 40 years ago. Look at the amount of wheel that Cale has to put in that car.
It's the difference between about a 30-to-1 box and the current, which some drivers might even run an 8-to-1 at a place like this. Maybe most are 10-to-1, but you see the hands difference and just how much wheel input you'd have back then. Bias ply tires now on a radial tire.
You know what hasn't changed?
What's
is
that?
the line.
It's
It's
exactly
crazy.
the
I
same.
mean, even back then, very similar line to what you see today. Track service here at Darlington with what they use. Always had so much give up. You hear them part throttling just like you did. I mean, it's no different. Same but different.
Let's go down to Dillon.
And just down here catching up with Ryan Sieg as he evaluates what they had there in the 39. Okay, we were just talking about how difficult it is to get a read just because of what the racetrack changes and how much it changes during practice. But did you have an idea maybe of what you guys wanted to get better on your car?
Yeah, no, we've trended just getting loose throughout each practice we've been in this year. And I don't know what it is, if it's just a tire, a new body or something. We're trying to diagnose what it exactly is, and that's the way it trended again. So we're just trying to make sure we're snug enough throughout the race, because that's where we've gone. But it was pretty decent. We had a few, you know what I mean, got a little lost of what we needed, and then we kind of got it back. So just kind of all over the place a little bit, and then it's hard to figure out who's got new tires and where, if anyone did qualifying run or race run. But the guys on the SciAps Chevrolet have worked hard, so we just haven't had the results we wanted, and we're working hard at it. Just been a tough couple races for us, just result-wise. So hopefully we turn it around here at Darlington.
We talked earlier in this practice about Sheldon Creed and just how well he gets around here. He's kind of an alliance teammate of you guys now. Is that something where you feel like maybe you can lean on him or the 41 and get a better direction before qualifying or the race later?
Yeah, no, we'll definitely go back and talk to those guys and go through some of their notes and come up with a game plan of what kind of work for them. So I don't know how good he was. It's interesting to see how his car was. And I got Clements down here. He was pretty decent. So with all of us working together, I think we'll get her dialed in.
Yeah, lots of resources to pull from for sure for Ryan C. in the 39. Kim?
Well, Dylan, while not an official throwback weekend, Austin Green is paying tribute to his dad, David Green, in that championship year, 1994, with a tribute throwback paint scheme. So what was your reaction when you saw it? And then I also want to know what your dad's reaction was.
Yeah, I guess my crew chief, Jody, lied to me. I asked him on Thursday if we were going to do it or not, and he said no. So I was kind of bummed about that. And I think Dad was nearly brought to tears. So I know it's special for him. It's super cool, obviously, throwback weekend, and his championship car. So I don't know if anyone's ever drove a Slim Jim car before, so maybe that's pretty cool. But yeah, hopefully we can do a little better than practice and start a little closer to the front.
So a nice surprise to both of you. This is your first start in Darlington in any series, though. So what did you take away from practice?
Yeah, this place is tricky for sure. I thought long run was pretty decent. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just really tight right now. So I know the fall off's really bad. So I think for the race, it's just going to be whoever can save the most. And hopefully, I don't know, big learning day.
Let's see the hat, because he did go to, where'd my camera guy go? He did go to his dad's archives. In our camera guy's defense, he was capturing this beautiful paint scheme, but Austin showing off, this is an original hat from the 90s. The hat's older than you.
94.
94, love it, looking good.
That's awesome. That is a true throwback hat right there. Austin Green getting ready for qualifying, as are all the others. Bell led the way in practice at Darlington. It's a triple header weekend in Darlington, South Carolina. Trucks last night. Cup cars on track tomorrow on FS1. Their practice and qualifying comes your way on Prime Video, 2:30 Eastern today. And the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series racing for the 6th time on the campaign. NASCAR Countdown Live on the air with Carl Lamette. CW 430 is when we bring it to you from Darlington, South Carolina. Hey, I want to pay off the story, the hat from Parker Retzloff. Okay. Outcast, we said how cool it was. This is actually the sports fishing team. I got this from the top.
Oh, really?
For Austin Dillon and the group based out of South Carolina. So they're on the car this week. He's got the hat. Really cool.
I'd like to be on a fishing team.
Yeah, isn't this like the offshore fishing team stuff that they've got like a way to live stream it now? Austin was telling me about this, I think, a year ago or something, and how excited he was for this whole deal, and
it's awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Sounds like fun.
Is it me, or is Austin into everything?
He is.
You know
We got the bull
rides.
rides.
Yeah.
The fishing team.
Fishing.
Yep.
It's, it kind of lines
Little
up with
entrepreneur. I like
Bass
it.
Pro Shop
We need to get him.
style
We need to get him a
lifestyle.
flag football team. You know, I'm thinking of
What about like, the TGL team or whatever, the golf league?
Yeah, there. I know he would be in on that. Down to Kim.
And we talked about Brennan Poole running the 20th anniversary Southern 500 winning colors of Greg Biffle. Why was it important for you to pay tribute to him this weekend?
Well, I think it's just important to pay tribute to a great man and a great race car driver. I knew Greg's wife personally for many years, so this one kind of hit even closer to home. But yeah, just awesome to pay tribute to him, especially in a car that he won in 20 years ago. It's just really, really cool. So, you know, it just has special meaning. I'm feeling a little bit like I got a little something extra today with me. So hopefully we can go out there and have a great run to honor Greg. And for all our partners who let us do this, CW & Sons and Clark's, we really appreciate it. So yeah, car was pretty good in practice. So see what we can do to get us a good starting spot.
Good looking car. I know a lot of people are excited to see Greg's colors back on track.
Thank you.
And guys, I do want to note the last 2 years, Brennan has actually won the throwback paint scheme contest. And although there is not an official throwback weekend or contest this weekend, remember he won 2 years ago with Kyle Petty's throwback. He won last year with Jeff Gordon's throwback. Well, they wanted to really celebrate this paint scheme of Greg Biffle. So his wife, Lindsay, went and took the trophy from the last 2 years and had it replicated at a trophy store. So this Greg Biffle throwback will actually get its own trophy for being so great.
That's really neat. Lindsay does such a good job of working with Brennan on the sponsorship side. And I mean, everywhere Brennan goes, she's there helping out. And it's a real team effort. And that's great to see. And that's neat that they did that, even though we don't have an official award this weekend. And I would say, you know, I won't take anything away from any of the other paint schemes because we have some really good throwbacks. But that is one that is very deserving. And here's another one. You know, Matt DiBenedetto going to be the first out in qualifying. And this is a throwback to Michael Annett. And sadly, we lost Michael in the offseason, a winner here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series when he was driving for Junior Motorsports. But the connection here, Matt is driving for Joey Gase, who is from Iowa, Michael from Iowa. And so they're throwing it back to his paint scheme. And DiBenedetto trying to put this 35 in the show.
It's good to see Matt back in the series once again here in the O'Reilly Series with Joey Gase. If they want to understand exactly where their equipment's at and what they can do, you know, to continue improving this race team, he's a great guy to have behind the wheel.
Yeah, and if you're, from Matt's perspective, you got to be in the garage. You got to be seen. If you want to get another opportunity, another ride, you're going to have to be down there talking with everybody with 31.06. So a little bit of a pickup. And listen, I'm going to bring that up because to me, if you can match what you did in practice, this is a hard place to go back out. Even though most of those guys went out in race trim to start, the track is just so much faster. It has so much more grip when practice first starts. And if you can run any quicker than you did in practice, I think you're going to feel really good about that.
So 31.06 on the board for Matt DiBenedetto. And you talked about the pickup for him. Here's Myatt Snyder in the 30. 31.22 in practice.
And that's the wiggle you don't want to have. It happens from just getting in a little too early, then the car catches through the center and it just hesitates, or it allows you not to get back to the throttle the same way. And at 3 and 4, you just want to throw it off in here, another slide. Just do everything you can to get back to throttle.
It's so hard because practice, you're 4 seconds off the pace, and then you got to go out and run the quickest lap of the weekend.
Runs about the same thing that he ran in practice earlier today. Second is Myatt Snyder, Dylan.
And Sam Mayer is going to be one of the early qualifiers after a tough week last week at Vegas. So we were just talking, the conditions that kind of changed down here, starting to get a little windy. The sun is going kind of in and out of the clouds. So what conditions do you want as an early qualifier here?
I'll take a nice big fat cloud right when I make my lap. Going this early is definitely going to be pretty tough for the Sawdell Chevy, but practice was solid. I can't complain too much. The Hendrick engine was cooking for sure. The Brembo brakes were going good. The Audubon Chevy's fast, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this place is so much fun. I'm really looking forward to getting going here. I've always qualified pretty decent here. Just putting it on the edge as much as you can. So we'll see how it goes.
Thanks, Sam.
Dillon's Darlington walk and talk with Sam Mayer. 41. Be one of the favorites for the pole. Top of the board right now, J.J. Yaley driving the 5. Veteran driver from Arizona. 30.70 is what he puts on up there in the 5.
And he used all of the racetrack off of 4 there. He might have just grazed the wall. Or, I don't know. I don't see anything on the right side, but he was as close to the wall as you could be off of 4. Great lap by J.J. Yaley.
Nick Sanchez, 25.
Yeah, Nick is one of the guys that did a mock run with his second set of tires. Some of the guys put the second set of tires on. Nick actually did a full-blown mock run, get a good idea, and he's fast. Like, this guy knows how to give the gas. Always good in qualifying. Car looks really stuck to me, not seem sliding Not leaving black marks on the exit of the corner. See what he can do down here in 3 and 4. Kind of commits to that a little bit higher line. It's really high. How much do you have to get out of the gas right there?
That's the risk you run with entering that higher lane. You're going to see predominantly most people will try to get to the bottom and slide up and connect to the wall late in the corner. And you can see what the Goodyear rubbed off the tires, and here's another view.
Yeah, lost all that momentum right there.
And it can work. We've seen that's sort of I would call the middle entry point. It has worked in certain years and depending on the temperature of the day and how much rubber is laid down, that sort of thing, but you're just not giving yourself the leeway that you do if you enter on the bottom and have all 3 grooves to get the car slowed down before you touch the wall.
It's the disadvantage of going out early too, because if you can sit and watch this and you see, well, you got to commit to the top, then that's just what you do. But if someone can go out and run a really good lap and they run low in 3 and 4, it's almost a sigh of relief because you're like, okay, well, I don't have to do that.
I don't have to do that high thing.
Anthony Alfredo, top 10 a couple of weeks ago at Phoenix. Disappointment at Las Vegas with that going out early, as you reference the disadvantage. Top 10 in practice, second here to Yaley in his qualifying run, 30.73 for the 96.
And he did a great job right there. He was committed to run that high line. You saw him get right against the wall, didn't use too much. I feel like he judged that really well. Good lap by Alfredo.
And I think the word that comes to mind for me when you watch these qualifying laps and how the drivers are tackling it, creativity. There's a lot of leeway to be creative with your lap and still get speed out of it here at Darlington just because of all the options you have.
Look at the hood of this car. Sparky the Fire Dog is there.
Oh, yeah,
how about
Sparky.
It? Celebrated his 75th birthday this week. Joey carrying out the campaign here at Darlington.
I feel like you said that like you knew Sparky.
Well,
yeah, he's been around for 75 years, right?
Man's best friend, Jamie.
Right. Wow. I like it, Adam. That
Sparky
car is
wearing a raincoat?
Well, Sparky's got the death wiggle into turn 3 right there. Oh, my Lord, that thing looks loose.
39 cars here this weekend. Only 38 make the show. 1 goes home. If you beat 7, you're in because 32 make it on speed. Joey Gase goes 6. You look at our bumper. Nathan Bird right now is next in line. He will not make a qualifying run. They had a problem in practice earlier today. Down to Kim.
Yeah, let's get a quick word with Jeremy Clements, your home racetrack. What did you think about the car in practice?
We went from one side to the other. Started off really tight and then got really loose, but man, it's changing quickly. The rubber's laying down. Then we'll have the cup rubber later. I don't know, Kim. We're just going to go out there and see what we got. Hammer down, not kiss the wall. We're not even going to make out with it yet. We'll do that later and see what we got. But I'm excited to be at home today and got a beautiful flying form concrete structure Chevy. Patriotic scheme for America's 250th birthday.
All right, catch up with your cars, leaving it. And we did check in with the team. They did, I want to let you guys know, cord a right front tire in practice. Still not quite sure what the issue was with that.
My advice to Jeremy would be don't make out at all with the wall today. Yeah, just stay away. Oh, man, he was right there. Yeah, on both ends of the track as well.
5th for Dean Thompson.
He kissed it. Didn't make out with it, maybe.
Smooch. This was coming off turn 4. Man, right there.
That's
only car from Joe Gibbs Racing that was outside the top 10 in practice.
It's going to give us a great idea of where the track is. Gibbs has been exceptional here in qualifying. Saw he committed big time on entry. The tracker was up a couple tenths. He gave up some through the middle, but good exit. Really good lap going right here.
I mean, he just continues to build, putting money in the bank. Lost a little in 3 and 4.
Kind of gave up some on entry right there. Not a good 3 and 4. He had a great 1 and 2.
It's coming back
a little bit.
New leader in qualifying at Darlington, 30.50. Puts Taylor Gray in position number 1. About a 1/4 of the way through the qualifying session. Look at Austin Green. I mean, the emotion and the reaction of racing at Darlington as he gets ready to go out and make his qualifying run. There it is, a little paint on the wall. Don't get there.
You did that in your country voice.
Yeah,
that's great.
Hey, by the way, was that my Marty Lindley? What was that?
So good.
Well, you know, sometimes during the breaks, you get a little distracted. You just need to reel it back in. Like the Outcast sports fishing team. Just reel it back in.
Nice segue.
That is
good.
tying it back in.
Great.
I got issues over here. Ryan Ellis in the 0-2. Let's hope he has no issues in qualifying. Driving for Youngs.
He ran 31.38. In practice, got some different colors on the car this week. Sweetwater. That is not a fishing team.
We think.
We don't think.
It looks like Construction Corp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say they're in construction and not fishing.
I feel pretty good about it. He's opted to run that low line. Don't blame you a bit.
Yep. Maybe a conservative lap, but you know what? Sometimes here at Darlington, that can pay dividends, especially if you get in this race. You'll see cars that are not taking off very fast, but let them get to lap 20, lap 30.
It can all change.
And it all starts reeling back in at them.
There you
like that
go.
Outcast team.
Ryan Ellis, 8th, Dylan.
Raja Caruth does have a start here in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series a couple years ago. Did that help you at all? Just kind of get back behind the wheel and feel for a car here at this racetrack?
For sure, Dylan. Like the pucker factor at this track and these cars is like on 10 compared to anything else I've driven. So yeah, like you mentioned, running here for Alpha Prime a couple years ago and getting a top 20 was great experience for me, along with my truck experience here. Getting almost winning my first truck race here. So love this racetrack. Love coming down here. Spent years racing at Florence and late models not too far away. So hopefully we have a good run today with our Black Effect Chevrolet Camaro, and excited for the opportunity that's in front of us.
Yeah, kind of buried the lead there. He did have a good race in the truck here the last time he ran. So excited to see what he can do in the 32 car today.
I was talking to Mark Setzer yesterday, crew chief for that 32 team, and just all the energy and excitement that surrounds everything that is Jordan Anderson Racing and what they've done as a group this year, and it's a positive time for them, no doubt. Look at that top 5: Gray, Yaley, Alfredo, Ryan Sieg, Sanchez. And now we welcome to the track 91 Alex LeBay, set to make his second start of the season. Raced at Circuit of the Americas in the 0 for SS Greenlight Racing, and this weekend driving for Mario Goslin in the 91. Saw Mario working on that car yesterday down in the garage, getting it prepped and ready to go through inspection. And Alex from Canada has the family here this weekend. His wife and his daughter made the trip to Darlington, South Carolina.
And I think for teams like DGM and what we saw there for Ryan Ellis, this is a really hard lap for all the reasons Raja said. The pucker factor is high, and then they cannot afford to go out there and smash a car up in qualifying. So those drivers are being asked to go fast, but don't hit anything at a place that's incredibly easy to do by getting in the wall.
Next up, Sam Mayer. And we've talked about Sam and how good he's been in qualifying. Was in the red, flashes to green, and picking up the pace coming off of 2.
Real low out of 2 right there. The car cut down really well. He was able to stay in the throttle. Look at that tracker.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good lap right here. He's going to be kind of in the low 30s, and I think maybe high 29s is going to be what the pole is. We know this car has speed every single week. It was on the pole last week. A little tight off turn 4.
Got to slide to the middle. Gave us some up, but still to the top.
2/10 better than Taylor Gray. 30 for Sam Mayer. Started on the pole last week. Looked like he was going to win the opening stage. Allgaier gets him late. He ends up second in stage 1, gets the stage points, but then those mechanical gremlins got him.
Yeah, they had a fuel pump issue last week. Had to replace that. They've had some issues this year, not necessarily anything they could do about it. Sometimes luck comes into racing, but it has bit them, and it's so unfortunate when it bites you on a day that you have a car capable of winning.
45 LeVar Scott out to make his qualifying run.
That's a great turns 1 and 2. The tracker's not being as nice, but you got to look at the gap that Sam Mayer has to second and to third.
Yeah, sometimes you get such a good lap early that it really doesn't tell the full story when you look at the tracker for other drivers making their qualifying run. For LeVar Scott, now 7th on the board. Kim?
And no doubt the Lady in Black likes Brandon Jones, a two-time winner here, including this race last year. But as we look at pole qualifying, what's it going to take to lead this field to green?
Well, I think this is probably one of the funnest, coolest places to go qualify at. It's so on edge. I joke about it, but I get out and I've got the shakes if it's a good lap, right? So I enjoyed it. I think we had a really good Menards GR Super in practice. Obviously second on the board to start the practice session, but then had a really good long run session as well too. So I'm excited. I want to go see if we can try to set on the pole or get really close to it. I know we were last year, but we've got Polonus, Barracuda Pumps, Menards this weekend. So I'm excited. I want to try to get our season rolling around here and try to get some really good finishes for today.
Well, as a driver, there's no tracks that you look more forward going to than ones that you've won at, and for him, Kansas and Darlington are two that he's got multiple wins at, so he's got to feel good coming over here. I would love to hear Kim and Dylan ask those guys which end of the track is more important. I always felt like if I could have a good 1 and 2, then I could.
Are you producing right now?
Yes, I am. Right? Yeah. Parker's in the bathroom, so I thought I would go ahead and produce.
I'm right here.
I just like to know, like, as those guys, what are they more focused on? Is that they work harder on 1 and 2, or do they think 3 and 4 is where they can make their time?
Austin Green put the 87 in the 8th spot. Here's Jeremy Clements in the 51.
Pretty shallow entry right there.
And he paid the price.
Yeah.
The car took off towards the wall, just laid on the front, basically is what happened there, and you just have to get out of the throttle, maybe even tap the brake, and you see on the tracker what has occurred from just that overdrive in turn 1.
Clements top 10, both races here, 2021. Trying to
not a bad 3 and 4. Yeah, kind of maintained on that end, but you mentioned it, Parker just kind of pinched off that entry into 1. The car shot up the racetrack, and you lose all your momentum. And the reason 1 and 2 is so important is because the speed that you carry through the middle of 1 and 2, if you can get a good exit, you get to have that momentum all the way down the backstretch. And it's so much fun to watch the lap tracker here, because if someone hits it right.
Clements is 8th. Josh Bilicki on track. Dylan?
And we were watching Corey Day in practice use that high line entry to really makes a lot of lap time earlier today. So you're kind of used to that feeling of having to enter on the high side, but is it similar in feeling to anything else you've driven, just that commitment that you have to kind of enter right on the wall here?
I mean, yeah, you can kind of pack up against the wall, and it gives you a similar feel to, running a cushion in a sprint car. So, yeah, if I'm being honest, entering, high line into turn 1 here is about the scariest thing I've done in a race car, but made a lot of speed. So, yeah, the guys brought me a really, really good car, and if we get a long run, I think we're in really good shape.
All right, good news from the 17, and he finished 9th here in the truck last year.
Two things that Adam Wall was really excited about. Jamie, you referenced part was what Dylan just said, and the truck experience that he got here a year. Jeb Burton out here, Auto Parts Series supporting Jeb, and we'll see what the 27's got for him in qualifying.
Yeah, decent lap heading into turn 3. You mentioned, Parker, that Sam's got 2 tenths on Taylor Gray. Coming back in the low line, going to pay probably a little bit of a penalty on the exit there, but got through the center of the corner really good. Going to end up 6th overall at 30.84. Good lap.
Does a slight pickup from his practice lap by about a little over a 10th. So you can be happy with that lap, but I think that's a little bit of how you have to judge yourself here at Darlington. You referenced it earlier, but basically you look at what you did in practice on that first lap, raw speed in the race car, and if you can improve on that, you go, okay, I did my job.
Especially if you went out early. If you're one of the guys like Larson or some of those guys that went out kind of later in practice, you're going to have first 10 cars on the racetrack. It's hard.
Next week at Las Vegas, doesn't have all the funding that the big organizations do. Boy, that thing was dancing around, but he's hanging on to it and going to bring it back, and 92 goes up to 3rd. That's awesome.
Good job, buddy. 30.62.
That is the best lap Josh Williams has done in 2026, and I'm going to stand by that.
What did Raja say about the pucker factor?
It's high.
3 and 4. I mean, Williams was feeling it, no doubt. There's Raja getting ready to go out and make his qualifying run. Ross Chastain will be on track as well when we continue. Halfway home in qualifying for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series later today. 71st race for this group at the track Too Tough to Tame, Darlington Raceway. Coverage on CW begins from the CW garage with Carla Metz. NASCAR Countdown Live, 4:30 Eastern Time. Here's Harrison Burton in the 24. Teammate Dean Thompson, 14th so far in the qualifying session. Harrison, not bad in practice, 21st, 31.089. We'll see if he can pick up the pace here. Tracker pretty friendly early.
Oh, yeah, and I like that entry. That was really good. He didn't clip the apron too much and throw the car up towards the wall. We'll see if that pays off down the backstretch, but it was a really pretty entry into one.
Yeah, looks like the tracker is locked up right there on the bottom. You see, ooh,
so fast he broke it.
Committed to run a little bit higher here. I like that line. We'll see what kind of momentum he can carry off.
What'd you say?
It looked good. It looked good, Harrison.
Throwing it around a second.
Hey!
30-48.
Well, I think as a driver, you'd shut the engine off and be like, I got it all.
Yep, guys.
Party's over.
You cannot say that there was anything left on that track.
He got every last drop, Kim.
Well, Jamie wanted to know from drivers which end of the racetrack they thought's more important. So I thought, why not ask three-time Darlington winner Justin Allgaier? So more important, 1 and 2 or 3 and 4?
I think 3 and 4, if I'm being honest.
You sighed, though. It sounded like a hard decision.
It is. I think both ends are super tough. But, you know, I think this racetrack is so unique and it's so difficult. But I think you can feel way off in 1 and 2. But as far as speed goes, I think making sure the race car is good in 3 and 4 is ultra important. You know, that's where you're going to pass the most cars. So we had a peachy day, literally. I felt like our brand fresh giant culture Chevy was pretty good. You know, this racetrack, though, you're always battling somebody else on a different cycle. And you want to keep up with them in practice, and sometimes that's not the thing. So I got a Darlington stripe. Not sure that was a good thing, but either way, we're gonna have a good solid day, and I get to go over there, make a few laps as well. So hopefully we can learn from what we got over here to go over to the 48 Chevy.
Yeah, don't crush the peaches.
I'm trying not to. They're sensitive today, so we don't want to do that.
All right, we got new rules. Kim, you have to ask them before, and if they don't say 1 and 2, we don't ask them the question, okay?
Oh, Blaine Perkins.
Okay.
There was tongue involved.
Yikes. There being some things said on this show that I'm not incredibly comfortable with, if I'm being honest. Perkins, by the way, is 9th, right behind his teammate Jeb Burton. Burton ran an 84, 87 for Perkins. And here's Patrick Starpoli in a 48.
There is no doubt, eyes wide open with Patrick Starpoli out here right now. New to all these racetracks, and you have to think he's questioning his decision of wanting to come race here.
I was
11's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
No.
And he had never seen this place. He was walking in earlier today. I was talking to him a little bit, and he's like asking the simplest questions about how this place, how you even get around here. He said the sim was really tough for him and that sort of thing. So I think all things considered, not putting it in the wall, having a clean car right there, good lap.
And you said he's going to places for the first time. Next week we go to Martinsville. He ran both those races last year.
That's right.
So that could be really, really good for him.
Well, the comfort factor will be there for
Absolutely.
sure. Just knowing how to get there and where to go.
Garrett Smithley in the 0, throwing it back to 2016 when he was driving for Johnny Davis. And I love this, Johnny Davis, longtime owner in the series. Went away a couple of years ago, but he's coming back to the track to celebrate this throwback. And after qualifying, they're going to get everybody together, do some pictures with drivers that have driven this race car when it was under the Johnny Davis umbrella. SS Greenlight Racing, the ownership group here with a 0, and a good lap for Garrett. Puts it up there in 8.
Great lap for number nothing, as Garrett would call it. But, you know, think of Johnny Davis. Think of the drivers he gave opportunities to. Ross Chastain, Ryan Preece, Landon Castle. I mean, the list goes on and on. Garrett Smithley. So many drivers owe their chance to getting in a car consistently to Johnny Davis in this series for many years. That's cool to see them celebrating him.
Brennan Poole.
Brennan Poole. Yep.
Brennan was 17th in practice, ran a 31 flat. Obviously on pace to beat that right now, so going to feel good about it. See if he can get through turns 3 and 4. What lines he decide to run. Good decision.
Some would say this is the most important side of the racetrack.
Yeah, some that's won here 3 times would say that, as a matter of fact.
LeVar Scott, the team car, 13th in qualifying. And Brennan goes 8th. 30.76.
A little quicker than he ran in practice, so good lap.
And I think 3 and 4 there, if he could do it over again, he'd want it back a little bit. It just didn't quite get the rotation through the center. You saw him lose time as they got to the line. Couldn't commit back to the throttle because it maybe looked a little tight.
What's going on, Dylan?
Just catching up with Sheldon Creed. All right, you're one of the last qualifiers. Have you got something for your teammates' lap?
I hope so here. I felt Yeah, pretty good about all these good stuff, Sheep Chevrolet, and got to play around with 2 sets of tires there. That was really nice. We don't get to do that a lot, and yeah, sorry, that's really loud. Just practice 2 30-lap runs and see where I liked my balance to go. So I needed to probably decide on what I liked more enough to hit a few good adjustments.
Part of that HFT alliance, he is 4th. And the momentum is there for the 28 group because last week they had a top 20 run, top 15 run, solid at Las Vegas, and doing it again here today. Great start for him.
And one thing I think we're seeing now that we've had 23 cars on the racetrack through qualifying, we're starting to see that transition to where the rubber has been picked up, the track is picking up speed. We talk about this every week. If you're with us last week, we talked about it. This is where you start to see some really fast times. Raja throws it off into one.
YOLO'd it, right?
Hey,
is that the word?
YOLO'd. You listen. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Here's their teammate, Raja Caruth. Hang on to that thing.
He committed to entering high. You saw the back.
Still
start
got back
to step
the throttle.
out. Yeah, good exit speed.
Yeah. Up to 6th. Really good for Raja Caruth.
That's a fun lap. I could watch cars qualify here all day long.
That's all I want to do is watch. I don't need to participate.
Trust me, I haven't done it. It's pretty nerve-wracking, but it is a lot of fun to watch these drivers and cars just try and figure it out and get to the absolute ragged edge of the adhesion around this crazy racetrack.
I can guarantee this guy's going to use every inch of the racetrack. Ross Chastain, this is a great racetrack for him. You look, had a tremendous 3 and 4 getting up to speed, was in the green, kind of tank slapped the wall right there, lost a little bit of momentum. He's going to have an exceptional 3 and 4 if he's going to get it back. I expect to see him. Well, he's running right through the middle right there. Didn't really commit to the top or the bottom. Gave up a little bit on entry. Going to get a good exit, though.
Get back the throttle.
Decent, yeah, really good exit right there.
First car for Junior Motorsports. Ross Chastain goes 2nd. They put all 5 of their Chevys in the top 10 here a year ago.
So this is 1 and 2. Just gets up right next to the wall. You see that little wiggle. That's just trying to throw as much speed as you can, and the car took off, lost the rear end just a tick as it went up towards the wall. You have moments in time in qualifying here where you're almost just
he was heartbroken when that was over. Like,
and you're just trusting the car is going to stick at some point, and you're making a guess, an educated guess at times. We'll see what happens for Brandon Jones. Oh, very similar. And you see he gives up the time, so both of them just carrying a little too much speed on the entry of 1.
Second in practice, ran a 30.28, and the second car from Joe Gibbs Racing to go out in qualifying. Taylor Gray currently 4th, and something that has been a strong suit for this 20 group this year is qualifying. Spent a lot of time up front in qualifying sessions, opens the door for stage points. Good lap here, 2nd for Jones, 30.35, not too far behind Mayer there.
And what a pickup.
Really good.
3 and 4.
3 and 4 right there. No, one thing that I would be paying attention to if I was on pit road is that the track is not as fast as what it was the last 2 races we've been here. And I say that because you don't have to commit as hard as what you maybe thought you did prior to getting here this weekend. The pace just seems to be about a half second off from what we had last year. And if you know that, you're going to drive just a little differently.
And I think one of the biggest indications of that is right here into 1. We've just seen 2 cars in a row almost overcook it a little bit. That was a little bit better there by Williams.
A little more disciplined.
Yeah, a little bit more disciplined, and that just tells you. And then 3 and 4, you remarked how Chastain was in the middle. It's almost a diamond line. You want to go in a little lower, slide up to the wall, and then turn that car back down. That's been the line that seems to be really excelling.
Both of these Gibbs cars, not a great 1 and 2, but both are having
as I say that, he runs the outside all the way to the line.
Wow, 2nd overall.
Really good.
Sawalich, yeah, 30.33, good lap.
Jumps right in front of his teammate. Winding down qualifying. Mayer leads the way. Sawalich, Jones, Chastain, Harrison, Burton, the top 5. Heavy hitters on the way. Who's going to win the pole here at the track? Too tough to tame.
When that's getting the wall there.
Yeah, but didn't lose any time. You watch that tracker a little bit on exit, but
I'd have kissed it.
yeah, you did. Oh, you definitely kissed it. Yeah, that's fair.
You know, you mentioned his qualifying record, but this year, not been a great qualifier. Average start for the 99.
Look at this. It's going to happen. He's going to have the momentum.
24.9 coming back here. Look at this.
There it is.
Leader. Parker Parker Retzlaff takes it to the top.
Oh, and he did.
Great job.
Exactly like what he ran in practice.
Like 4/1000 of a second.
That was fun to watch. Just a slight kiss right here in 1 and 2. And then he committed to the high line in 3 and 4 after hitting the wall in 1 and 2. I don't think he really lost any time right there. It's probably just waiting on the throttle.
Well, and Adam referenced, you know, we hadn't seen that qualifying pace out of him this year, but I felt like when you saw the pace he had in practice, he was one to watch for that reason right there. If it's on offer, he can extract a lot out of that race car. What a lap by him. Oh, Corey Day's quick here.
Yeah, Corey was super disciplined on entry. It looked to me like his entry speed was way down, but ran that little bit higher line. He had good momentum. See what he can do in 3 and 4. Oh, it looks just so slow on entry.
It's wiggling around.
It is wiggling bad.
Just started to slide out a little bit on the exit.
He's going to miss it. But 6th is not too bad. 30.44 per day. By the way, Retzlaff, 0.008 of a second faster than Sam Mayer. I mean, that is pretty cool.
It's so close. You brought up a great point, though, a second ago with Chastain. This is one of the few tracks that you can kind of throw qualifying out the window. Because if you have a good long-run car.
Here's Austin Hill. And
yeah, we heard him breaking his card at the same speed as Retzlaff. It's all going to be all the commitment on entry.
Just got away from him a little bit.
Oh, and you see there just what Retzlaff was able to do, where he planted it on the wall and just was able to commit back to the throttle. Austin had a great entry speed. When he attached the wall, it was looking good, but he just couldn't commit back. Lost a ton of time off of 4 compared to Retzlaff.
7 to go in qualifying. And here's Carson Kvapil, who was top 5 in practice. And the best in practice from Junior Motorsports put a 30.29 on the board.
He wanted to commit to the throttle. You saw he just couldn't wash up the track.
Good, but now he's had to give up a little bit there through 2. Breathe it.
Got a great lap going, though. It didn't sound good from the throttle-wise in the car. Look at that, up a 10th right here into 3.
Money in the bank.
He is working the throttle right there and the wheel.
Coming to 4.
Look at that.
Good. Oh, I mean, just deliver a big one. Kvapil gets it, P1. 30.18, that is fast.
You can tell how slick the track is.
Because did do a great job there, but all right.
Well,
he's out of breath.
He's referencing what we were talking about, just not being able to commit to the throttle. Typically, once you get to the gas, you can hold it down, but just very slick racetrack.
I was telling someone earlier today that basically when you do a qualifying lap here, it's going to feel dirty. It's going to feel raw. And you're going to do things in that race car that you're like, I don't think that works. And they're going to come on the radio and go, hey, good lap, man.
Yeah. I just love listening to, I mean, his heart rate had to be through the roof listening to him breathe in that radio.
Well, it was the lack of 30.18 seconds of not breathing.
That's right. Going in there. Sammy Smith, great start to the year. Talked about it in practice. Teammates P1 and P6. Third car from Junior Motorsports.
Looked really tight to me right there.
13th.
For all the reasons that Kvapil's lap looked exciting, one thing he wasn't was tight. There, Sammy Smith, that car just looked really locked down, really stuck on the right front. Maybe not quite the qualifying pace, but we'll see what they have in the long run. That's the other side of all this. A car that's fast on one lap might not pay off later.
Look at the numbers here for our reigning champ. Reference the fact that he hasn't won, been close on multiple occasions, top 10 every week, stage points in every stage but one. Pretty decent car in practice. Nice flashing job. Some green as he comes off of turn 2.
Yeah, he did a great job of not using too much apron on the entry to 1. Just nobody can commit to the throttle, but you look, he's laying right on the top of Carson Kvapil. Ooh, I think got a little loose on entry on him. Chasing it up to the wall.
Oh, that's right there again. He was almost that half a car off. That meant he couldn't commit back to the throttle the same way we saw the...
Awesome 1 and 2, brother. Awesome 1 and 2. Just lost it off of 4.
The right rear just couldn't quite take the lateral load.
That would make
when
me feel so good.
On.
Right, like your 7th, but Stockman to come on. To be so positive of what he saw right there. They feel good about it.
Hey, how about this? Junior Motorsports has never won a pole here. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 12 of them.
Well, glad you're saying that now.
I mean, the last 2 times we came here was this guy that got it done, Christopher Bell. I wanted to sneak that stat in before this guy made his run, and the tracker's telling us why. Unbelievable.
Awesome loose through 1 and 2, like dirt tracking through there. Look at this little gap.
2/10 right now into 3.
Oh, boy.
It's just not fair.
It's not over yet either. I think the tracker's stuck again. My gut tells me. Oh, that is awesome.
Christopher, ring
yeah.
the bell in qualifying. 30.041, almost 2/10 better than Quapple, who was incredible.
Didn't need a lap tracker. Watch this right here into turns 1 and 2. He commits, gets to the throttle. I think it's sliding, dirt tracking all the way up the hill. It catches just in time for him to drive back down the hill off 2.
And it wasn't much different down in 3 and 4 when he came off of 4. He actually ended up all the way down on the inside lane coming to the line because he couldn't even get it straightened out.
3 cars to go in qualifying.
Oh!
Here's Sheldon Creed in the 0-0.
All into 1.
Well, that's a classic case of the driver was more committed than the car. Some of it back here, 3 and 4. Hopefully not too much damage either.
Oh, another big slide. That car
over
is
the place.
loose.
Teammate Sam Mayer 4th right now. Creed 11th. Gonna have some ground to make up when we go green later on.
Well, and have to look at that suspension on the car and the body. How hard did he get into the wall? That looked like a pretty good impact right there.
It was a good shot. Here's down into 1, and it takes off. Similar to what we saw from Christopher Bell, but it didn't catch. It also wasn't as early. His Bell's was at the entry portion, off the wall, turning.
I know.
Last 2 cars in qualifying, both from Junior Motorsports. And I feel like if either one of them went out and won the pole, it'd be an upset because of the history of Joe Gibbs Racing, but then just never know. Justin Allgaier.
A lot of entry speed. You saw the tracker go the correct way, but that's going to pay the price on exit. That's quite the visual. What a lap.
Allgaier goes 3rd, just behind his teammate Carson Quapple.
Well, he
And
did
now
all,
Kyle Larson.
all but get the wall. As you watch right here, watch the right rear quarter. The wall goes out, he goes out. Almost perfect right there.
Larson started front row last week, qualified 2nd to Sam Mayer. Just very quiet first 2 stages of the race at Las Vegas. 50 laps to go, took over on a restart, never gave it up.
See if Larson commits to that little bit higher line. Just right on the apron. Car looks very stable right there. As stable as we've seen anybody. Not a bad lap, pretty decent lap. It looks very in control.
He was talking about being on the
Good
split.
exit. Look at that.
It looked really good there.
Everything looks stuck to the racetrack. Kyle's so good at managing that throttle. Oh, it's
using
so
it
good.
all. They're
It's gonna be close. Got him.
Got him. How about that? Larson rallies back, gets the pole, the first for Junior Motorsports here at Darlington, and he knocks Bell off the throne. 2 Cup superstars absolutely putting on a show in qualifying, and the only driver to go south of 30 seconds. Larson on the pole, 29.99. He got Bell last car out, Dylan.
Yeah, the margin, not very much there, but your lap looked like a handful. Was it from inside the car, or do you feel like there was anything else you could have done to maybe be a little bit better?
I mean, it certainly wasn't a clean lap, but, you know, I felt like I maximized, you know, the lap and didn't really have any terminal mistakes that took a lot of lap time and pace away from us. So, yeah, it's going to be a hard race. I'm excited about it. I love this racetrack. Sport Clips Camry is, or Supra. Yeah, I got a little loose turning into 1. I committed to running across the apron. I don't know if that was the right move or not, but yeah, really fun to run laps around this place.
Back in this car for the race.
Yeah, it's just going to be slick out there, but it should be getting better as the sun goes down. So I don't know. I didn't guess right yesterday in the truck race, so hopefully we do today.
Thanks, Christopher.
Well, the one thing about this race is that it's going to be extremely slick when it starts. The cup rubber typically makes the O'Reilly cars looser, slicker, but the sun's going to start to go down, and it's going to cool off, and it's going to continue to build grip. as the race goes on. This is probably the last guy that I wanted to see on the pole if I'm competition based on his history in this series and at this racetrack. He's about as good as they get at this place.
9 career poles in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series for Kyle Larson, Kim.
Yeah, the time looks good on the speed charts, but how did the car feel? Did it feel good out there?
It felt more stable than practice for sure. Kind of the same sort of thing here the last 2 weeks. Like I've been really on the splitter in practice, and then go to qualify, my balance feels great. So yeah, hopefully we can learn from that, for the last 2 weeks and have a smoother race later on. But happy to get the pole there. I really just tried to run a smooth lap, not try to push anything, and thankfully had a good lap there, good car speed. So yeah, thanks HendrickCars.com for allowing me to come race again this weekend. Unfortunately, I would rather be watching Alex Bowman run, no doubt, and I would rather him be going to suit up right now to run the Cup car. But yeah, I just want to say we're thinking of him and hoping he continues to recover and be back to the racetrack. We really miss him, and yeah, wish him well.
Good starting position, not quite the car you wanted in practice. So what is the concern to start this race?
For me, it's just, trying to get where's the splitter need to be, and then where does your balance need to be when it's not on the splitter. So yeah, the first run I was really on the splitter, but I think my balance was maybe in an okay spot. And then the second run, we got it off the splitter halfway, and then I was sliding. So yeah, kind of got to narrow in on it, but this track is so slick. I don't think you ever feel good and comfortable. So that makes it a lot of fun. Should be a great race between a lot of us here, I feel like, in the field, and even guys coming from mid-pack. So just as always, got to execute, which we did really well last week. Hopefully our car speed's in a better place, and we can have the speed and execute and not have to stress as much throughout it. So we'll see. But thanks to Marty and all the guys on the 88. Thanks to everybody at JRM and Chevy and the Hendrick Engine Shop, and we'll see if we can get another win sticker.
Kyle Larson will start this race where he finished last week's race. That's P1.
Yeah, Kimmy's trying to stay undefeated in that 88 car for Junior Motorsports and keep that record intact. Anytime he leaves the Hendrick organization and drives in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, he goes to victory lane. The guy in 5th, row 3, Parker Retzloff. That's awesome.
That was a great lap by him, and there was a series of great laps through here. William Sawalich there on row 4. And look at Jesse Love there on row 5 next to him. Ross Chastain, he's going to be one to watch as well.
Yeah, obviously all the Cup guys are going to be tough. Here, row 6, Austin Hill and Corey Day, both those guys will be good. Harrison Burton with a decent qualifying run right there. Sammy Smith, another one of the JRM cars you see outside of row 9, and then Roger Carruth inside of row 10.
We look back here, Anthony Alfredo in row 11, and Garrett Smithley, I think that was an excellent lap by him with that tribute scheme to Johnny Davis, which is super cool. Brennan Poole, we've talked about how close he is on the chase standings right now to being at that cut line. That was a competitive lap for him for sure.
Rounding out the field for today's race, Austin Green in the throwback in row 16 with Josh Balicki, Alex LeBay back there. Nathan Bird did not make a qualifying run. He goes on row 19. Matt DiBenedetto misses the show. Here's Dylan.
And Parker Retzloff ends up in the 5th spot. I know you didn't feel like your lap was perfect there, but despite that, you're still in the mix. So how encouraged are you by the speed that you guys had?
Yeah, I mean, I think with how our car was in the race, I think that it gives you a lot of confidence going in. We qualify like this, and I feel like we're in the top 5 for all of our practice runs. So I think that we can race up here up front all day, and we made our day, start qualifying, makes your day a little bit easier to start up here, not have to battle as hard. So hopefully just keep some track position, and overall have a good day. Just got to, thank everyone on the Viking Motorsports 99 all year, from Funkaway to South Carolina Outback and or Outcast, and everyone who supported this whole thing.
Yeah, off to a good start today for Parker Retzloff in the 99, Kim.
Well, Dylan, Carson Quabble got bumped by the 2 Cup guys. He'll start 3rd. So what did you need in your lap to give Bell and Larson a run for their money?
Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how the lap ended up. I came off turn 4, and it was one of those, I almost was banging on the steering wheel. I was so mad that I qualified bad again for like the 3rd week in a row, and that's something I've been trying to work on. But they said P1, and I was like, all right, cool. So no, I just need to do a little bit better job inside the car. I felt like I kind of underdid both entries and had to lift a little bit off too, but Rodney and the whole #1 team on this Champion Irrigation Arrowhead Head Brass Chevrolet is doing their job and bringing me a really fast race car, so I don't have to be totally perfect on my laps. But it's pretty cool to be starting right behind those two guys. Obviously, they know what they're doing, and just got to stick with them, and hopefully towards the end of the run we can drive by them.
I'm just impressed that Carson knows what crew chief to thank, what
gotta
sponsor, which car to get in. I mean,
they're holding a whiteboard behind him. I think
exactly
so he knows what to say.
Well, you mentioned that, like, all the cars he's been in recently, and I was like, does he even remember which car to walk up to?
He has GPS when he gets in the garage that walks him to whichever car he's driving on that particular week. Going to be a fun race later today. Some quick thoughts as we anticipate the green flag right around 5:30.
Classic Darlington. I mean, qualifying was so fun. If it's a single car, it's fun to watch. As we saw here today, I can't wait for the race. I love this place. I think I could watch races here every day, all day long.
It's one of the best tracks that we go to. It's going to be fun to see how guys use these tires, who's good on the short run, who's good on the long run, and if a regular can outrun a cup guy.
We'll see. 4:30 Eastern Time, NASCAR Countdown Live. Carla Metz leads the charge on CW with Kim, Dylan, Parker, and Jamie. I'm Adam Alexander. Thank you for watching practice and qualifying. Kyle Larson on the pole later today.